Hello and welcome, listeners, to this episode of High Talk. In this episode, we will continue our discussion on Chem Sex with episode 18 Beyond the High, the hidden dangers of Chem Sex part 1. Given the vastness of the topic, we've decided to break it down into several parts. In episode 17, we explored the meaning of Chem Sex and discussed the substances commonly used in this context. Now, in this episode, we will dive into the following topics. 3. Chemsex and the exploration of identity and sexual desire. 4. Chemsex addiction, physical and psychological dimensions. 5. Trends in chemsex usage in Thailand and worldwide. Please note that the content in this episode might be a bit challenging to digest, but don't worry, we'll guide you through it step by step. Get ready for a deeper exploration of chemsex, its implications, and the ongoing trends. Let's begin. 3. Chemsex and the exploration of identity and sexual desire. The use of psychoactive substances in chemsex is not limited to physical experiences alone. It also profoundly influences the exploration of personal identity and sexual desires. Participation in chemsex often elicits complex emotional and psychological responses. In some cases, it may be perceived as a means of escaping psychological distress or the pressures of daily life. Factors associated with identity and sexual exploration. Escaping psychological distress. For some individuals, engaging in chemsex serves as a coping mechanism to escape feelings of sadness, loneliness, or internal stress. The altered state induced by drugs may allow them to experience a sense of empowerment or sexual expression that is otherwise inaccessible in sober conditions. Sexual activity under the influence thus becomes a channel for emotional release and self-regulation. Searching for sexual pleasure and satisfaction. Substances such as MDMA or methamphetamine used in chemsex can intensely stimulate sexual responses, allowing users to access a heightened level of sexual satisfaction that is often unattainable under normal circumstances. Despite the risks involved, some users continue to choose these substances in search of deeper sexual pleasure. Affirming sexual identity. For individuals with diverse sexual orientations, chemsex may offer a sense of acceptance and desirability, particularly among those who face societal stigma. Sexual encounters in environments free from judgment can foster a sense of authenticity and reinforce confidence in one's sexual identity. Enhancing sexual desire. Substances like methamphetamine and MDMA impact the nervous system by increasing excitement and sexual drive, allowing users to experience more intense and prolonged sexual experiences. These substances may also enable individuals to explore previously unknown sexual desires or see themselves in a new light, offering a novel perspective on their sexual needs. Responding to social pressure. Many chemsex users face social pressures related to sexual stigma, such as rejection from family or society. For these individuals, chemsex may provide a safe space to express their sexuality without the fear of being judged, offering them an outlet for sexual expression that might otherwise be suppressed. Building relationships and intimacy. Some substances, like GHB and MDMA, help reduce inhibitions and enhance the sense of connection with others. For certain users, chemsex represents a way to build deep, meaningful relationships, even if these connections may not always be long-lasting or stable. Avoiding feelings of worthlessness. Research by Jaspal, 2022, suggests that chemsex may function as a mechanism for avoiding feelings of inadequacy or rejection. Sexual engagement under the influence of drugs can provide a sense of empowerment and desirability, counteracting internalized negative self-perceptions. Psychological perspective. Identity process theory. The identity process theory, proposed by Burke and Stetz, 2009, posits that individuals strive to maintain key components of identity: self-esteem, self-efficacy, continuity, and distinctiveness. When these elements are threatened, such as through sexual stigma or feelings of inferiority, chemsex may serve as a coping strategy to restore or protect one's sense of identity. Some chemsex users report experiencing identity threats, including feelings of social rejection or diminished self-worth. Within the context of chemsex, drug use may help restore a sense of control and desirability, allowing individuals to engage in sexual activity without concern for external judgment. Research indicates that the more chemsex is perceived as reinforcing identity and mitigating identity threats, the more central it becomes to the individual's self-concept. This centrality may hinder the ability to disengage from the behavior. Support approaches and future research. Support for individuals struggling with chemsex should consider both psychological and identity-related factors, alongside efforts to reduce health risks. This includes addressing sexual stigma, promoting self-esteem, and creating safe spaces for sexual expression in a mindful way. Future research should expand to include groups with diverse sexual orientations and gender identities to gain a more comprehensive understanding of this phenomenon. 4. Chemsex addiction. Physical and psychological dimensions. Chemsex, or the use of substances in sexual activities, refers to the practice of using various substances to enhance sexual experiences or intensify the sensations during sexual activity. Commonly used substances in chemsex include methamphetamine, MDMA, GHB, and cocaine. The addiction to chemsex can develop both physically and psychologically, which can deeply impact the user's body and mind. Physical addiction in chemsex, dimensions and impacts. Physical addiction in chemsex refers to the body's growing dependency on substances used to enhance sexual experiences. This type of addiction involves both physiological and behavioral changes that make users reliant on substances to achieve sexual satisfaction or maintain their sexual activities. The substances most commonly used in chemsex include methamphetamine, MDMA, GHB, ketamine, cocaine, and popper, each having unique effects on the body that contribute to the development of physical addiction. Below, we explore the dimensions of physical addiction in chemsex and its long-term effects on the body. 1. Tolerance. Tolerance is the process by which the body becomes accustomed to the effects of a drug, requiring higher doses over time to achieve the same level of sexual pleasure or excitement. In chemsex, users may develop a tolerance to substances like methamphetamine and GHB, meaning they need to increase their intake to maintain the intensity of the sexual experience. As tolerance builds, users often escalate the dosage of substances, increasing their risk for severe physical health problems, including organ damage and cardiovascular complications. 2. Dependence. Dependence occurs when the body physically relies on a substance to function normally. For chemsex users, dependence is a critical aspect of addiction, where the brain and body become reliant on substances to maintain desired sexual arousal, pleasure, or emotional stability. As the brain's reward system adjusts to frequent stimulation from methamphetamine or MDMA, users may experience withdrawal symptoms when they attempt to stop using these substances. Withdrawal can manifest as irritability, fatigue, anxiety, or difficulty achieving sexual satisfaction without the aid of drugs. 3. Withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal from substances commonly used in chemsex, like methamphetamine, GHB, or ketamine, can be both physically and psychologically challenging. Users may experience a range of symptoms, including fatigue and exhaustion. Due to the draining nature of stimulant drugs like methamphetamine, users may feel extreme tiredness and physical fatigue after the effects wear off. Mood swings. The depletion of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, can lead to feelings of depression, anxiety, and irritability. Increased sexual dysfunction. Without the aid of substances, individuals may struggle with sexual dysfunction or inability to achieve the same level of sexual excitement or pleasure they experienced during chemsex. 4. Impact on brain chemistry and pleasure. Chemsex substances like methamphetamine and MDMA increase the production and release of brain chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which are responsible for regulating pleasure, reward, and mood. Over time, frequent drug use can disrupt the brain's natural balance of these chemicals, leading to decreased natural pleasure. Users may find it difficult to experience pleasure without the drugs, resulting in a reduced capacity for joy in everyday activities. Hypersexuality. The drugs may induce increased sexual desire, making users seek sexual encounters more frequently, thus reinforcing the need for more substance use. 5. Chronic physical health problems. Prolonged use of substances in Chem Sex can lead to severe physical health consequences. For example, methamphetamine use is linked to cardiovascular problems, respiratory issues, and oral health deterioration, commonly known as meth mouth. GHB and ketamine have been associated with kidney damage and bladder issues when used repeatedly. Cocaine usage can result in heart damage and high blood pressure, putting users at risk for heart attacks or strokes. 6. Addiction cycle and physical decline. The cycle of using substances to maintain sexual arousal and satisfaction eventually leads to physical decline. As Chem Sex becomes habitual, users may experience decreased physical vitality. The body, overstimulated by drugs, can become less capable of functioning without them. Physical health deterioration. The combination of drug-induced sexual activity and long-term use can affect overall health, leading to organ damage, chronic fatigue, and reduced immune system functionality. Conclusion. Physical addiction in Chem Sex manifests through increased tolerance, dependence, withdrawal symptoms, and long-term physical health deterioration. As users continue to rely on substances to enhance sexual experiences, their bodies become increasingly dependent on these drugs, leading to a cycle of addiction that is difficult to break. The impact on brain chemistry further exacerbates the cycle, causing users to need more substantial doses to achieve the same level of sexual pleasure. Withdrawal symptoms and physical health complications become prevalent, highlighting the significant risks associated with this behavior. Understanding the dimensions of physical addiction in Chem Sex is essential in providing appropriate interventions and support for individuals struggling with this issue. Psychological addiction in Chem Sex, dimensions and impacts. Psychological addiction in Chem Sex refers to the mental and emotional dependence that develops as a result of using substances to enhance sexual experiences. Unlike physical addiction, which is driven by the body's need for the substance, psychological addiction involves the desire to use substances to achieve emotional or sexual satisfaction. This type of addiction can be just as powerful, and often more difficult to break, because it is linked to the individual's mental and emotional state. Here, we will explore the key dimensions of psychological addiction in Chem Sex and its long-term effects on the mind. 1. Craving for sexual satisfaction. Chem Sex substances such as methamphetamine, MDMA, and GHB can provide intense sexual pleasure, often leading to cravings for more frequent sexual experiences. Users may begin to associate these substances with heightened pleasure and an optimal sexual experience, creating a desire to repeat the behavior. Over time, the psychological craving for that level of pleasure becomes a key driver of addiction. The emotional satisfaction derived from Chem Sex can become so intertwined with the use of substances that users may struggle to experience sexual enjoyment without the drugs. 2. Escapism from emotional or psychological pain. Many users turn to Chem Sex as a form of escapism, using substances to avoid confronting difficult emotions such as anxiety, depression, loneliness, or unresolved trauma. For some, Chem Sex becomes a way to temporarily escape from the stress and emotional burdens of everyday life. The psychological dependence on substances for relief from emotional pain can cause a vicious cycle, where the individual uses drugs to avoid addressing the root causes of their distress, reinforcing the need to continue using substances to feel better. 3. Identity and self-worth issues. Chem Sex is often used as a way for individuals to cope with or validate their sexual identity. For those in the LGBTQ+ community, particularly MSM, men who have sex with men, the experience of being marginalized or facing sexual stigma can lead to feelings of low self-worth or shame. Chem Sex may be used to seek validation, feel accepted, or temporarily escape from the social pressures of non-acceptance. This need for identity affirmation through drug-enhanced sexual experiences can create a psychological reliance on Chem Sex. The individual's sense of self may become tied to the sexual validation they receive during these encounters, making it harder to break free from the addiction. 4. Behavioral and emotional regulation. The use of substances in chemsex often leads to emotional dysregulation, the inability to manage emotional responses or reactions in a balanced way. Substances like methamphetamine and MDMA artificially stimulate emotions of euphoria, excitement, and pleasure, but when the effects wear off, users may experience emotional lows, leading to heightened anxiety, depression, or irritability. As individuals continue using substances to regulate these emotional states, psychological dependence on chemsex deepens. The need for emotional regulation through substance use becomes ingrained, making it difficult for the individual to cope with life's emotional challenges without the aid of drugs. 5. Cycle of addiction and emotional disconnect. Chemsex users often fall into a repetitive cycle of using substances to achieve sexual pleasure, followed by feelings of emotional emptiness, shame, or regret. The brief moments of euphoria are often followed by emotional crashes or psychological withdrawal symptoms once the effects of the drugs fade. This emotional roller coaster can lead to psychological burnout, where the user feels emotionally drained and disconnected from their true feelings or identity. Despite the temporary relief, users may become trapped in the cycle, feeling compelled to continue using substances to avoid the emotional lows or uncomfortable feelings that arise when they are not under the influence. 6. Dissociation from reality and self-perception. During chemsex, substances can cause users to experience dissociation, where they feel detached from reality or lose a sense of self. This can create an altered perception of one's sexual identity or self-worth, leading to distorted views of sexual relationships or personal boundaries. The psychological disconnection caused by dissociation can lead to risky sexual behaviors, such as engaging in unprotected sex, as the individual is less able to assess the risks and consequences of their actions while under the influence of drugs. Over time, this can contribute to a more profound psychological dependence on chemsex as a way of escaping from reality. 7. Sense of control and lack of autonomy. As chemsex becomes more ingrained in a user's lifestyle, they may begin to feel a lack of control over their actions or choices. They may feel compelled to engage in chemsex even if they do not want to, driven by the intense psychological cravings and need for sexual pleasure. This loss of autonomy can deepen the addiction, as the user begins to feel trapped in the cycle of substance use and sexual behavior. The need to control emotions, escape from reality, and enhance sexual experiences becomes an overwhelming force, making it difficult for the individual to break free. 8. Cognitive distortions and rationalization. Users may experience cognitive distortions, such as rationalizing their behavior or convincing themselves that chemsex is necessary to feel good or to maintain sexual satisfaction. This can be accompanied by denial or minimization of the negative consequences associated with substance use. Rationalizing the use of substances can prevent the user from recognizing the full extent of the psychological damage caused by chemsex, which further entrenches their psychological addiction. Conclusion: psychological addiction in chemsex is deeply rooted in the emotional, cognitive, and identity-related aspects of the individual's life. The addiction is driven by a combination of craving for sexual satisfaction, escapism from emotional pain, need for validation, and emotional dysregulation. This type of addiction is difficult to overcome because it is based on mental and emotional reliance on substances to regulate mood and achieve sexual pleasure. Understanding the psychological dimensions of chemsex is crucial for developing effective treatment and support strategies that address both the emotional and sexual needs of individuals caught in this cycle. 5. Trends in chemsex usage in Thailand and worldwide. Chemsex, or the use of substances combined with sexual activity, has emerged as a growing phenomenon in both public health discussions and among the LGBTQ+ communities worldwide, including in Thailand. The use of substances in this context is generally aimed at enhancing sexual pleasure, reducing inhibitions, and providing a temporary escape from psychological stress or emotional challenges. Below, we will delve into the trends and factors driving chemsex usage in both Thailand and globally. 1. Trends in Thailand. Increasing chemsex use in Thailand. In recent years, chemsex has gained attention in Thailand, particularly within the men who have sex with men, MSM, and transgender communities. Major urban areas like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Pattaya have seen a rise in the prevalence of chemsex within certain subcultures. The substances most commonly used in chemsex in Thailand are methamphetamine, MDMA, GHB, and ketamine, all of which play a role in stimulating sexual desire and lowering behavioral inhibitions. Methamphetamine, a stimulant commonly used in chemsex, has been linked to heightened sexual desire and reduced inhibitions, making it a preferred substance in sexual contexts. MDMA, also known as ecstasy, is commonly used for its empathogenic effects, which promote emotional connection and intimacy during sexual experiences. Motivations and psychological drivers. Thai users of chemsex are often motivated by the desire to intensify their sexual experiences or to cope with emotional stressors, such as work-related stress, relationship issues, or feelings of isolation. Many individuals from the LGBTQ+ community in Thailand report using substances as a way to cope with the pressures of societal stigma or discrimination they may face. Escapism. Chemsex is often used as a method of escaping psychological pain, including stress, loneliness, and social discrimination, allowing individuals to find temporary relief from these issues. Sexual pleasure enhancement. Substances in chemsex can intensify sexual sensations and heighten arousal, making it attractive to individuals seeking a more satisfying or extreme sexual experience. Increased access via online platforms. The accessibility of substances in Thailand has increased due to online platforms and social networks that facilitate connections within the LGBTQ+ community. Apps like Dating or Meeting New People, and other dating platforms and social networking platforms provide easy access to partners for chemsex activities. The anonymity and ease of communication online have accelerated the spread of chemsex practices. Online black markets. Alongside social apps, the online black market has facilitated the distribution of substances commonly used in chemsex, making them easily accessible to users in urban areas. Health implications in Thailand. The rise of chemsex has significant public health implications. The increased use of substances has led to a surge in HIV transmission, sexually transmitted infections, STIs, and mental health concerns such as depression, anxiety, and long-term substance dependency. Unprotected sex in the context of chemsex increases the likelihood of contracting HIV and other STIs, as users are less likely to use condoms due to impaired judgment and lowered inhibitions. Mental health issues. The long-term effects of using substances like methamphetamine and MDMA also contribute to mental health deterioration, as users often experience anxiety, depression, and emotional dysregulation after the effects wear off. 2. Global trends. Chemsex prevalence worldwide. Globally, chemsex has become an issue of increasing concern, particularly in countries with advanced healthcare systems such as the United Kingdom, United States, Australia, and many European countries. These regions have seen a rise in chemsex within the MSM community, as well as among youth in party and club settings. The substances commonly used for chemsex worldwide include methamphetamine, MDMA, cocaine, GHB, and other synthetic drugs, often used in combination. Methamphetamine remains one of the most commonly used substances in chemsex due to its stimulant properties, which heighten sexual desire and increase sexual stamina. GHB, gamma-hydroxybutyrate, is also widely used due to its sedative and euphoric effects, often leading to amnesia and enhanced sexual experiences. MDMA, ecstasy, is commonly used for its empathogenic effects, which foster emotional connection and trust during sexual encounters. Impact of online platforms. Online dating apps and platforms have played a critical role in the rise of chemsex usage. Platforms like Grindr, Scruff, and other hookup apps have provided easy access to partners for chemsex and contributed to the normalization of these behaviors within the LGBTQ+ community. Instant access to sexual partners and substances through these platforms makes chemsex more widely available, especially in areas where public discussion of these topics is limited. The social media and online communities connected to chemsex have also fostered a sense of community and acceptance for individuals engaging in this behavior, further encouraging its growth. Health implications and risk of STIs. The global health impact of chemsex is severe, particularly in relation to HIV transmission and other STIs due to unsafe sexual practices. The reduced inhibitions caused by the use of substances during chemsex often lead to unprotected sex, increasing the likelihood of contracting HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, and other sexually transmitted infections. HIV risk. Studies have shown that chemsex users are at a significantly higher risk for HIV due to unprotected sex and multiple partners. Chemsex users often report feeling less cautious or having impaired judgment regarding sexual health practices. Mental health. The psychological consequences of chemsex are equally significant, with users frequently experiencing depression, anxiety, and psychosis due to the long-term impact of substances on the brain's chemistry. 3. Factors driving the increase in chemsex in Thailand and worldwide. 1. Heightened sexual desire and stimulation. The desire for intense sexual experiences is one of the most significant factors driving chemsex use. Drugs like methamphetamine, MDMA, and GHB allow users to experience heightened sexual pleasure, arousal, and stamina, which they may not be able to achieve without the assistance of these substances. 2. Social acceptance and media influence. In both Thailand and globally, the increased acceptance of diverse sexual identities has led to greater social visibility of chemsex. In LGBTQ+ communities, chemsex has become a more widely accepted form of sexual expression, especially with the normalization of drug use in these settings. Media, particularly social apps or dating apps, plays a crucial role in normalizing and facilitating chemsex by providing easy access to partners and substances. The use of chemsex has been normalized in many digital spaces, encouraging individuals to partake in these activities. 3. Psychological stress and emotional coping. Many individuals turn to chemsex as a way to escape from psychological distress, such as anxiety, depression, or stress. The temporary relief offered by substances provides an emotional escape, making it an attractive option for individuals dealing with psychological issues. 4. Increased accessibility of substances. The easy accessibility of substances through online platforms, the black market, and social networks has made chemsex more widespread. Substances are now easier to acquire and use, especially in urban areas or regions with well-connected digital networks, contributing to the rise of chemsex. 5. Peer influence and community dynamics. Peer influence plays a major role in the participation of chemsex, particularly within the LGBTQ+ community. Many individuals are introduced to chemsex through their social circles or communities that embrace open sexual expression. This social acceptance reinforces the behavior and makes it easier for individuals to engage in these activities without judgment. Conclusion. The increase in chemsex in both Thailand and globally can be attributed to several driving factors, including heightened sexual desire, social acceptance, easier access to substances, and the psychological need for emotional relief. As chemsex becomes more prevalent, it is crucial to understand these underlying factors to develop effective prevention, treatment, and support strategies. Addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes mental health support, sexual health services, and harm reduction programs tailored to the unique needs of individuals involved in chemsex.